What makes a Valheim castle great? I've been chasing that question for a while now. When I started this channel a year ago, I was still figuring out what made any build great. I'd already spent a lot of time experimenting, building homes, workshops, and villages across Valheim. But this past year, something changed. See, sharing those builds, talking through the design process, and hearing your feedback has made me a better builder. And now, this castle feels like the culmination of that journey. A fortress built from everything I've learned along the way. So, without further ado, hi, I'm Klaus. Welcome to Forest Keep. I think a great castle isn't about size or symmetry, it's about presence, purpose, and story. What do I mean by that? Well, let's start with presence. In architecture, presence is one of those words that doesn't have a formal technical definition. It's more felt than measured, but think of it as a building's emotional and spatial impact. Presence comes from relationship, not just size. For instance, Forest Keep rests quietly atop a hill in the Black Forest. The building's relationship to these two features, the hill and the forest, shapes its presence to feel commanding, permanent, and even isolated. When I started to plan out this video, that struck me in an unexpected way. In contrast to its size, Forest Keep's presence is calm and quiet. This castle is more of a sleeping giant than an imposing fortress. I am so relaxed while wandering these halls. You're safe here, protected not just by the stone walls, but by the cliff and forest too. That's presence. If presence is about how a castle feels, then what's purpose? In design terms, purpose is what defines how a space works, what it's meant to do, and who it's meant to serve. In the context of Forest Keep, you can think of purpose as having two layers. First, the creative purpose. This is a little more personal because I built Forest Keep as a celebration of how far I've come as a builder. I've learned so much, and I really wanted to demonstrate that in a single build. To be honest, I wasn't sure that I could. Second is the structural purpose, the practical logic behind the layout. The castle is divided into 5 main components: the Gatehouse, Courtyards, Dormitory, Great Hall, and Keep. Each of these play a distinct role, and together they give the castle structure, rhythm, and reason. Let's take a closer look at how each of those spaces works and what they were built to do. When I broke ground on Forest Keep, construction began right here, with the Gatehouse. I like an entrance that makes a statement, and this one is very clear. It's tall, it's imposing, and no one is getting through unless they're meant to. The stone towers on each side carry strength and stability, but that's softened by the ivy winding up the walls. In a way, it feels as if the castle is becoming part of the forest around it. Up above, the guard chamber is built from wood, a small but important contrast. It takes some of the edge off the stone below and gives the people stationed here a space that feels practical, but also comfortable. Just because they're on watch doesn't mean the room shouldn't feel lived in. Setting a tone early matters. I had a clear vision for the Gatehouse, and once this space felt right, I knew the rest of Forest Keep could grow naturally from here. Passing through the gate leads into the lower of 2 courtyards. Here, visitors get a dramatic impression of Forest Keep's scale as different wings of the castle rise up and surround the space. It's a bit intimidating at first, but over time that transforms into a feeling of security, and eventually, a sense of calm. I didn't pave over the grass or clear out the rocks, trees, or plants. The natural terrain remains untouched, so the forest literally exists within the walls. This isn't a garden, this is the forest itself. courtyards also play an important role in how Forest Keep is organized. A network of passageways connects the interior spaces, and the courtyards, especially the upper one, act as a shortcut between buildings, keeping the castle connected both visually and practically. Only the dormitory can be accessed from the lower courtyard. Just because you're through the gate doesn't mean that you're free to roam the halls yet. The entry hall acts as the final checkpoint. It's a quiet pause between the outside world and the inner castle. From here, the path splits. One way leads up into the Gatehouse, and the other deeper into the dormitory itself. This is also where the verticality of Forest Keep starts to reveal itself. The building rises 3 full stories, each level serving a different need. On the ground floor is the kitchen, and from here, a narrow passage links directly to the Great Hall. It's a very practical relationship. The cooks preparing the food can reach the hall quickly without crossing the courtyard or stepping out into the weather. Bedrooms occupy the floors above the kitchen, and there are 3 in total. Each one has its own layout, decor, and little comforts. Repetition can add too much order, and too much order can feel boring. Giving each room a unique identity makes the space feel more immersive, more lived in, and that's always worth the extra effort. At the top, the final staircase opens onto a small rooftop balcony. Nothing complicated here, just a spot to step outside and enjoy the view for a minute. As you move out of the dormitory and into the center of the keep, things change. Up to now, everything has had a clear job: defense, circulation, cooking, sleeping. But the next space isn't about survival at all. This is where Forest Keep starts telling a story. If presence is how a castle feels, and purpose is how it works, then story is everything you can't quantify. The personality of the place. It's what the rooms suggest, what the details imply, and how the whole structure reflects the person who built it. Valheim doesn't give you that part. You add that. At Forest Keep, the Great Hall is where I finally stopped holding back. The one place where function gives way to a little spectacle. Everything up to this point has been practical and purposeful. But this room, this is where I let myself have fun. It's oversized, it's dramatic, and honestly, I'm really proud of how it turned out. You step in through this covered entry, which is actually the balcony or choir. I tried to follow real medieval halls here. Long room, tall ceiling, simple bones, big presence. And then the height hits you. This cathedral ceiling pulls the whole space upward, making it brighter and far more ceremonial than the rest of Forest Keep. I spent way too long fussing with these trusses, but their shape really holds your attention. They wonderfully fill what could have just been an empty void. At the far end, the raised head table takes command of the entire hall. It's only lifted a little, but it gives you a clean sightline across every seat. Practical for a host, and handy for spotting would-be assassins. And behind it, this huge decorative window frames the forest outside. Stone halls get cold, so I warmed up the lower walls with wood paneling. Between that and the central hearth, everything at floor level feels cozy, while the stone and windows above keep that sense of grandeur. This is the one room where I let myself push the scale and the details, really lean into the fantasy. But I still wanted it to feel handmade, as if it was built by craftsmen over generations. That's the fun of story. Those same details can spark a completely different tale depending on who's looking. And while the height pulls your eyes upward, there's one place no one ever thinks to look. Right under their feet. The Great Hall hides a secret. Beneath these floorboards is the workshop, the heart of the whole operation. Smelters and kilns in the main room, crafting stations and storage tucked away in the next. I constructed the workshop beneath the Great Hall partly because the footprint allowed it, but mainly because a great castle should hold some mystery. Most visitors will never know this is here, and I think that's something special. Leaving the Great Hall, Forest Keep shifts one more time. The hall is the castle's public face, but the keep is its heart. This is where the real work of a fortress happens. Traditionally, a keep was the last refuge, the strongest point, and the Lord's home. I designed this keep around that idea, beginning with where it sits, right on the steep hillside. That edge isn't decoration. It makes the building harder to attack and gives it a clear view across the land. Presence through position. The lower level is all defense. The armory is where troops would stage a last stand if the walls fell. Tight corridors, heavy stone, and racks of weapons. It's not a gameplay room, it's a story room. It tells you exactly what this building is prepared for. Up the spiral stair is the guard commander's quarters and another of the castle's secrets. I felt it was important to keep leadership centralized, so both the lord and the guard commander live within the keep. At the end of the hall, behind a bookshelf, is a hidden map room, a small space for planning and strategy. No ceremony, just quiet work. I love rooms like this because they make the castle feel lived in, not just built. At the top sits the lord's chamber, the safest and most private room. There's a fireplace, a writing table, and a view as far as your GPU can render. The room feels like responsibility more than luxury. And above that, tucked into the rafters, is the bath and a private portal. Not historically accurate, just Valheim accurate. A reminder that story grows both out of realism and gameplay needs. And this is why the keep matters. It's the clearest example of everything I think makes a Valheim castle great. Presence in its placement, purpose in how each floor works, and story in the details, the kind that make a place feel authentic. Forest Keep has been one of those rare builds where everything finally clicks. The ideas, the intention, the way the space tells a story as you move through it. I didn't want this place to feel like a fortress on a hill. I wanted it to feel lived in, purposeful, a place with history, even if we're the ones imagining it. And working on it reminded me why I built in the first place. It's not the size of the walls or how fancy the layout is. It's how a place makes you feel when you step inside. Forest Keep feels grounded, honest, connected to the world around it. And to me, that's the part that matters most. So, what makes a Valheim castle great? Folks, it's been one hell of a first year. Thank you for that. Special thanks to Em, Nate, Chris, and Kyle for lending me your time and your acting prowess. And a huge thanks to my patrons. Your support genuinely means the 10th world to me. If you'd like to call this castle home or support my work on future builds, then the link to my Patreon is down below. And hey, the folks there are pretty awesome. I've got about 6 different builds I'm currently working on, and I need to finish at least one of them. So I'm gonna go get to it. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.